So here we have the Hasegawa Harrier GR3 kit in 172 scale. We're going to be checking it out. Um, so the box, as you can see, one side, you can see a painted model, some information. Well, short side, again, just the same thing. Here you can see the cart, contents, made in Japan, very cool. Let's, and the box art itself is also very nice. Alright, so let's just open this up and check out what we have inside. So first off, you can see the manual, instructions, and decal sheet. We'll check these out in a little bit, but let's first take a look at the sprues. I've already did unbox this, so it's a little bit unboxed. So in here we have the glass sprue, you could say, the transparent one. So here, let's have a take a look. As you can see, it looks pretty nice. No seam line in the middle, which I am very happy about, as it makes life much easier. And it will be quite simple to paint. It even has that little nose bump that the early Harriers have in front of the canopy, which is cool. I think it's for the Viper control mechanism. And there's also a HUD glass piece right under my finger here. This is just some warnings and correct methods on how to do things. And here we have all the sprues. So in total, we get 3 sprues. Let's take them all out and put the box away. You can lay them out here like so. So these are all of the sprues. And the proper way would be, I guess, to orient them like this. So this is A, B, and C, like so. On B here, we can see some leakage, some extra plastic there, but both the other sprues, okay, over here by the rockets, we can also see a little bit of extra material that we'll have to cut off. Let's take a little bit of a closer look here. So the body itself isn't, there is inset panel lines, which is very nice. There isn't a whole lot of detail, but I think it is quite enough detail. It's definitely more than that Italieri kit I just finished. So you can see these are also some inset pieces. It's also the arrow, very nice. Let's move on. Over here we have the gunpowder, and that's going to be quite an easy assembly. Here we have the heat shields for the nozzles. Here we have the wings themselves. The wings look very nice and also well detailed. Loving that. And here we have the landing gear. Also speed brake. Speed brake's even detailed on the other side if you can see that. That's very nice. Second sprue, we can get the underside of the wings. Again, detailed, not maybe as detailed as the top, but still very nice. This is going to be almost exactly the same. We're not going to take a look at that. Here we can see one of the nozzles has gotten some wings. We'll have to cut that off. That's quite a lot to cut off. But yeah, each of them has a little bit of unfinished, almost like plastic injection right here. That's very interesting. And here we have the fan blades, which are, I would say, very good looking. They look very nice. Um, Here we have the pilot model. I was confused why didn't he get an arm, but then I realized this is the arm, so you can put it around the stick. That's gonna be an interesting challenge. The pilot is actually kind of nicely detailed if you ignore the fact that there's a bunch of extra plastic around him, but he's very nicely detailed. And the final sprue is going to be some more weapons and cockpit. So the cockpit, this is going to be the nose section. Again, as good detail as the rest of the body. Here we have the cockpit seat. Not a lot of detail there at all. Quite basic. No molding. It's all going to be applied via decals by the looks of things. There's the front panel, and here's some pylons and weapons. Weapons don't have much detail there at all. Alright, now we can take a look at the decal sheet, and the decal sheet actually is there's a lot of decals that there's a lot of decals to put on here. Um, what's interesting is that apparently, from what I understand, that these red circles will go inside these, which is interesting on why did they do it like that? Why didn't they just print it on in the first place? But that's curious. There's a lot of these nice warning emergency symbols, which I really like, and that's going to be bringing that model to life. The cockpit panels are fine. I mean, I prefer a 3D cockpit, not the decaled versions, especially since there's also the throttle right there, which isn't gonna look very nice. But for this, for a kit of this price, I think it's quite appropriate. So I wouldn't. I guess I can't complain too much, especially since the rest of the body will have great detail. So now we can take a look at the instructions. So there's some basic information about the aircraft itself, even some data right here. You can open up to the first page. As most aircraft, you start off with the cockpit section. What I like with some of these Harrier models is that they have the whole nose section separately from the body. So that means you can build the nose and then worry about the body. And you can just put the nose in instead of having to wait to finish the cockpit to make the rest of the body, which is very nice. Here we can also see a weapons loadout information, which is a nice touch. Would love to see this in more models. It's actually not that common, at least not from my experience. And it's very clear and short on what they want. There's also some color recommendations. As always, I'll be ignoring all color recommendations and going by my gut and making my own colors. On the back, we also get marking and painting patterns, so we know where to put all the decals as well as how to paint it. I think I will paint it in the RAF scheme, since we also only have RAF decals, so pretty much we're gonna go pretty basic with that as well. And there's all the information, all the sprues we have, and we have all those, so that's very, very good. Yeah, and that's pretty much it for this model here in the box, what's in the box. And I have to say, by the looks of things, there's not a lot of parts. It's very similar to in parts amount to the Italieri one I just built from 1990, but they're much more detailed. There will be some extra work around because of these issues. I mean, I understand it's cheaper, so there's bound to be some errors, but that's gonna be probably fine. I think it's gonna be a very cool plane, and I think it's going to fit right in with my AV8B Harrier 2 as well from Italieri. So hopefully we'll see a nice result just like this one in the end with this aircraft. And this model is from 2008, which would explain the lack of certain details and some of those injection errors. So 20 years newer, well, not a full 20, almost 15 years newer than this, but already you can see a lot better details. So very excited to build this, and stay tuned to see how this ends up getting built, painted, and my full experience. But overall, from what I've seen right up until now, it's a kit I would already recommend.